Good morning. Welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is brought to you from the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Illinois Eastern Community Colleges as a part of their Competitive Advantage series. Today's topic is going to be turning leads into customers. My name is Todd Tracy with InAlliance. I will be hosting today's event, this morning's event with you. Just quickly, let's go over some housekeeping issues. We like to keep the webinars as interactive as possible, as that is their purpose. Your participation can come in a variety of ways. You have the ability to speak directly to me by raising your hand. I can click on your audio. You can use your voice over IP, or if you chose to use the dial-in phone number, you can do that also. I will tell you that typically the most convenient way is merely type your question into your question category, and it will raise your hand, of course, and I will reread the question for everybody and then of course answer that question. Feel free to ask questions throughout this morning's webinar. It will conclude at approximately 10 a.m. this morning. I will leave time at the end for questions, of course, and periodically throughout the morning. This webinar is being recorded. You will be sent a link to this webinar later this afternoon, along with a short survey that you can take regarding the content of the webinar. My contact information is in front of you. I will also have this at the end of the webinar available, along with the contact information for the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Illinois Eastern Community Colleges. The complexity of turning leads into customers has always been a difficult task from a marketing perspective. 10 years ago, up to 10 years ago I should say, we worked on what was called the push method. In other words, companies sent out ads, direct mail, broadcasts, got basically in your face and demanded that you make a buying decision. Well, with the onset of the internet and of course the flood of social media over the past few years, this concept has changed to being the only method of marketing. We now look at the pull method also. The pull method is different from the push method in that it gives the it gives more of the ability to make the buying decision on the consumer than just pushing information to them. As you can see by the table, it gives you just a quick summary of examples of push versus pull marketing. I would say everybody in attendance of this today has had interaction in one or more of these probably since breakfast this morning. The idea of pull marketing, though, is not a complete substitute for push marketing. Your best marketers, your companies that reach the most clients and of course have the best result in customer sales are the companies that understand the difference between push and pull marketing, and also integrate both into their marketing plan. We will touch on both, but of course we're definitely going to spend a lot more time with pull marketing today, as we are going to be spending more time with the electronic aspects of marketing, including the internet and social media and other aspects. One study that I always find very interesting is IBM's did a couple of years ago did a study that was called the Global Chief Marketing Officer Study. They found that customers are much more empowered than they've ever been in the history of the customer business relationship. They're much more in control of the buying decision now than they've ever been. They have to, what IBM declared is that they have to declare customer value. That becomes the single most important. Matter of fact, I have not seen a marketing book, a marketing article, or a marketing summary that doesn't use the term value somewhere in its synopsis for us to read. Marketers must be held accountable. It's very easy nowadays to verify if the product or service is as it has been described. And of course, in order to clarify value, in order to talk to the empowered customer, we have to look at new approaches and all the tools and skills that go along with that. What IBM did as an overall summary of this report is they looked at 3 key areas that they know that they needed to improve, which can probably relate to almost every company, big or small, throughout the world today. 1, they need to understand how to deliver the value to the empowered customers. Of course, then they need to understand how to foster a lasting relationship. Loyalty, buyer loyalty is at an all-time low. There is no longer specifically what is considered to be a Chevy person and a Ford person. People are looking for value in their vehicles. More and more people are changing makes and models of vehicles every single time they make a buying decision. And of course, they need to be able to measure the marketing's contribution in relevant, quantifiable terms. In other words, what are the metrics and what is the math behind all of what we're doing to see if what we are doing is working. One of the key concepts that you as a marketer, when you're working with leads, is you've got to understand that the buyer does things for their own reasons, not what you think they need to be doing. Many buyers are very selfish in what they expect of a product or service, and it's up to you to figure out what those are. It's very important that if you have not done this already in your business, that you list out who is your target audience. Who are they? In other words, what's their demographic? What do they care about? Where do they go for industry updates and information? No matter what product or service that you offer in your business, you are in a competitive environment. Every buyer, every potential consumer that you come up against has an option of spending their money somewhere else. So where are they locating information about you and the industry that you are in? Where do they hang out online? This is something that we look at daily from a marketing point of view. Where are people spending their time? Because people nowadays have a screen in front of them more than they've ever had it in the history of the internet, whether it be through the smartphones, through a tablet, through their PC or Mac, and of course little things like now you might have filled up at a gas station and there was a TV inside the gas pump entertaining you while you filled up your tank. The strategic positioning and messaging. You have to change your message to the point of view that they can relate to and connect. Are you speaking in terms that they understand? Using the concepts of good old-fashioned English may not reach the audience that you're trying to do. You have to rethink your selling approach, how you as the seller talks to the buyer. We look very close now at content-based marketing. Years ago, for those of you that have been in business for a while, you drew up a little thing about your product, you wrote about your product, put the price on it, and you sent it out as an advertisement to your local newspaper. Not a lot of in-depth understanding of what the product was. Used to be when we bought a car, we bought a Chevy Impala because at first it was a Chevy and we had experience with the Impala, or the Impala looked nice, or it fit our family or travel needs. Now we research everything about the Impala. We want to know its drivetrain. We want to know its seating capacity. We want to know how comfortable the controls are. We want to know what the gas mileage is. And of course, what we look at in this is we look and see how other people have perceived it. In other words, we read buyer reviews time and time again. We go to the online and we seek out what others have already decided for us. The goals of content-based marketing in itself are very simple. You want to lead the buying process. You want to lead the generation of those leads that will convert to sales, and you want to improve your customer retention. Your customer is going to be noticeable, is going to notice your actions in a variety of ways, and you'll have to hit as many of those as possible. In other webinars, we've communicated and talked about the social media aspect. Of course, it is huge. Not so much in just getting your advertisements and getting your name out in front of people, but getting social media to work for you in the pull method, as we have talked about. In other words, when two people are online chatting, are they talking about a product or service that you offered, and are they happy with that, and how did that conversation go? E-newsletters are still extremely very popular, especially someone that has a strong desire to be in your industry. PDF downloads, all the white papers, these are all content that you are in control of that is offered for free to your consumer that they can make more in-depth buying decisions. As I've spoke time and time again in my history in working with many business clients, one aspect of their marketing mix that I see that is not used nearly enough is the use of videos. As I said, at the end of this webinar, this particular presentation will be turned into a YouTube video, and a link will be sent to you that you can view it. Where we have a handful of guests online today, I can assure you within a few months there will be hundreds of views of this particular webinar, and this happens time and time again. YouTube videos and videos in general are a way to interact in a three-dimensional way with a client that can give them a greater understanding and belief in your product or service. Webinars, seminars, trainings, all of these that you support and are behind demonstrate that you are a leader in your industry and you know what you're talking about. Remember that the more and more clients, upwards of 60 to 70% of people are going online daily from their smartphone or tablet. And the actually going online on the PC is very minimal, especially when they're researching a product or service. The use of mobile apps is becoming increasingly important to delivering your marketing ideas. The Content Marketing Institute, which I highly recommend you just Google them and go to their website. There's a lot of free downloads, some things that you have to pay for. They have a lot of content out there that are a lot of information out there that can help you with content marketing. A statement that they made not too long ago says the greatest content marketing challenge is creating a steady stream of must-read information at every step of the purchase process that stands out from the other messages available out there. In other words, where people find the information that they believe the most and they have gone to consistently is probably the location that they are going to make their purchase decision. It's one of the main reasons why Amazon has taken such a strong foothold into the retail environment. Matter of fact, this year Walmart itself, for the upcoming Christmas season, has just released that they will match Amazon published prices come this season. A very dangerous and risky move by a bricks and mortar establishment such as Walmart, but they also know that the convenience of Amazon is overshadowed because of all the buyers' reviews that are on the Amazon site, that people can make the buying decision after they read the reviews. All they have to do is a one click, and within a few days the product is delivered to their front door. It's very easy, and the reason that people are making this decision more times than not is because they believe in the information that Amazon is presenting to them, because the way that Amazon presents it is they have made it as though it's you that's talking, it's your friend, it's your neighbor, it's somebody you can trust, and not a corporation named Amazon. So how do we consistently develop this content? First and foremost, when you're a small business, you have limited resources. You may not have the ability to do major surveys, the ability to access focus groups and all the things that the bigger companies do on a regular basis. But you do have a factory of sorts. You have a content factory, as I would like for you to call it, that you can go to. If you have people working for you, they are frontline people. They often are speaking with the customers. I ask that you meet with them on a regular basis and discover what the customer needs are and how that you need to tweak your product and service, and of course ultimately the delivery of that to the buyer for them to make a buying decision. I recommend that you visualize your audience as a persona. They are all buyers, and start looking at them as to what their individual needs are instead of just what you think they should see. Do your marketing research. If you have a product or service that you can easily Google, Google it. Find out the industry that you're in and find out what people are saying about it. Recently was working with a client that has a sporting goods item. It's an item that can be used in archery and bow hunting. And this particular item is unique in the marketplace, yet it does have a tremendous amount of competition out there. And he only, up until last month, he was only looking at his online, his own website and his own blogs as to how people were perceiving his product, because he was selling the product predominantly at trade shows in a one-on-one fashion and through his website. When he started looking out at competing products this past month, he's already contacted me and said that he has discovered ways that he needs to tweak his packaging as well as the product itself in order to relay his message better. And that's what he did by doing marketing research. Leave no stone unturned. Anybody you can talk to in the buying environment or in the industry, do so, and do so often. And of course, talk to your existing clients and suppliers, because they know how your product is ranging outside of you. Just very quickly, this is just a marketing process. This is Marketing 101. I include it in almost any marketing presentation I give, but this is how it works. You have your product or service. You must develop a marketing plan. You develop the leads, and you close the sales on the leads that you converted. The most common media options: print, radio, television, and digital media. Virtually all marketing can be lumped into one of these that is outside of the word of mouth and one-on-one sales. You have to look at a media solution. There seems to be a move in the marketing world for a cross-media solution. In other words, for you to market, as I disclosed in the initial part of this presentation, to market in all media, whether it be in the conventional sense or can be in more the electronic sense. I want to move you to another concept called integrated media. It takes the cross-media to another level. It allows you to reinforce messages. What I recommend that you do is you sit down with your product or service and you write up what you think the benefits and value that your product gives to your customer. Have the same thing done by customers, your staff, people outside of the industry. Have them all write up something similar and then mix it all together. And the content that is written up on that will be what will reinforce the message about why that product should be purchased. And that reinforcement relates throughout all of your marketing. And we'll get into this in just a little bit more in detail. So this should be what your marketing mix should look like today. You should be still looking at traditional media and what you can afford and what gives you the most bang for the buck, or in other words, what brings the value to the consumer and sales to your cash register. And of course, then you've got to continue to look at all the modern media. And it's interesting that I continue to give this talk about new media and modern media. Advertising took hold on the internet in the early to mid 90s and really got really strong at that point. Some 20 years later, I'm still talking about new media, and the reason being is because the internet and the ability for people to interact with your product electronically does change very often, just as the onset of the cell phones to the tablets to all the other media that we are getting at this point. When you're looking at building touches, in other words, you want to record the responses and build a database. You want to be able to get information from them. Okay. You have all kinds of ways that you can contact people, whether it be through email, whether it be through phone, and whether it be through just interaction at their leisure on your website. And that can be included in a blog, can be included on your social media such as Facebook or Twitter, or many other mediums out there such as Pinterest or Instagram or the other visual, or YouTube, the other visual types of social media. What you want to do is you want people to subscribe to your information. The more that you can keep people in the loop as to your knowledge base, the much more that they will, when they make a buying decision, they will come to you because you are the leader. Don't know if any of you have been in the purchase of an appliance lately. If so, in the last 10 years specifically. Appliances up to 10 years ago, your washer, dryers, microwaves, all those type of things, they used to have what they considered to be a 16-year lifetime. In other words, about every 14 to 16, 18 years, you bought a new one, updated. Something you need to be aware of now, if you're not already. This has been reduced to 6 years in the last 10 years. How are they doing that? Well, for one thing, the appliances are made from much more inferior products, a lower grade of plastic for fittings. They're using electronics that are based upon motherboards that are very inexpensive processes. So the key is with appliances, they are changing. And they're faltering much earlier than they used to be years ago. How this relates to the buying decision is that name brands such as when we had Maytag, where Maytag is still a world leader in producing appliances. They produce a bulk of the appliances under a variety of names now. And this is changing how that we touch and get involved, because we used to buy a Maytag based upon the name. However, many of us that are becoming savvy to the appliance market know that Maytag is not only involved in a lot of manufacturing appliances, we're also seeing that Maytag does not have the credibility and the stand behind that it had years ago. So how are we getting? So people are digging deeper and understanding more about their buying. Maytag is struggling right now from the point of view that they are not creating content that is delivering a message to the consumer that Maytag still is a name that should be revered and should be sought to be the #1 in the marketplace. So what you can do is to not go the way of Maytag, is that you need to create value in your product or service and keep sending that message out in a variety of ways to not only your customers, your existing customers, but to all those that want to make the buying decision at some point, if not sooner than later. This is something that was in my MBA book in the early 90s. Marketing is not a single ad. It has not changed. Marketing is all about repetition and proliferation and making sure that you are getting out in the marketplace through a process. We balance the traditional media with online as well as the face-to-face, and we are able to give a strategy that we hope that the consumer will find. We set a idea of how many new leads and how many new contacts that we want to make as a result of the marketing plan, and then we modify as we innovate in the marketing place to make sure that we reach our targeted market. Okay, what have we covered so far? Now, we've gone from the push to the pull in marketing strategies. And again, this is a shift from push to pull, not leaving push totally behind. And you want to share the content through a variety of meeting platforms. Very straightforward and very simple, I hope for you to understand. Now we have to look, how can we turn all this traffic into revenue? Well, you want to make sure that you give offers that your audience need or want. The $500 off a brand new vehicle just doesn't cut it for a lot of people, especially when they're financing. When they start looking at what that's going to save them, it doesn't give them a lot of value, especially over the life of the loan, whether it be 3, 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years in some cases nowadays. So you want to make sure that the offer that you're giving gives something to the consumer that they want, and not always is it reducing price. Matter of fact, from a marketing point of view, by increasing value and leaving price the same, you will generally create more sales. You want to generate leads from your websites and landing pages. You want to generate sales from these online leads by nurturing and conversion. And of course, you want to analyze those results. A graphic that we tend to look at is that we look at in between is the general website and the personalized landing pages. We spoke a couple weeks ago on our webinar about using Google Analytics in order to understand what your website is doing. We talked about various landing pages. Just remember, your website is a combination of several web pages. You have a home page, and then you have all your other pages. The landing page is one that typically is filtered through from some other link that either you have purposely put out there or a search engine robot has brought to the table. The personalized landing page, in other words, where somebody can interact with the page, where they can sign up for a newsletter, where they can sign up for more information, where they can sign up for a coupon, where it gives them the link in order to call for more information or an email that they can send. This has a higher conversion rate of 40 to 60% than just somebody posting a website, and what you're basically doing is you're forcing the consumer to find a place where they can personalize with your website. So the landing pages become much more beneficial. What we're moving away from 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, when we were working with people on developing their online presence, we wanted them to have a very complex and very thorough website. We're moving away from that thinking now, and definitely are maneuvering our business clients from a consulting point of view into creating a series of personalized landing pages. In other words, the website is made up of a variety of landing pages depending on how you're targeting your audience. As we said, visitors will land on these pages from your website via a lot of different ways. It could be from an email campaign that you have with the links directly inside your page. It can be from the search engine result. Of course, one that I like to see is the print campaigns, the direct mail or ads. So all too often, I'm seeing, especially from a small business perspective, that people are used to giving their homepage URL, such as www.mywonderfulbiz.com, and not taking them directly to the page that has the call to action. I would recommend people have no problem putting a backslash in and putting in a short a list. So if put in /coupon and it takes them right to the coupon page. It makes it much more simpler from the print point of view to get to the online content without having to surf your entire website. These are the best uses for a landing page, and you can make these into multiple landing pages depending on what kind of content that you are looking at marketing. An event registration. It's a call to action. You've got a webinar coming up, you've got a sales event, you've got whatever that you might have. People can sign up to get a coupon to that or get tickets or whatever that might be. Where they can make the sales transaction. If you have products that you are highlighting, they can go to this particular page and make that particular purchase. I have a client right now that is in the business of manufacturing her own natural women's moisturizers, hand creams, and facial products. All of her products are made from all natural materials, and she has probably nearly 40 different products in her inventory at this point. She started out with only 3, but she's been in business about 6 years. She chooses to highlight certain parts of her products, and what she does with her website is she creates a page specifically with the single product that she's putting on sale and or promoting at the time, with links, of course, to the rest of her product line. But her landing page is that product with a buy now feature right below the product. Makes it very simple. Since she started doing this, she has almost doubled the sale of her promotional products. Of course, there's several other ideas in front of you for creating a landing page. Don't forget that it's also a great place to put testimonials and any other industry information so that everybody, that your consumer can collect a lot of information with a single click. Don't forget on these testimonials, take advantage of trust indicators. As I've already mentioned previously, it's phenomenal how many people are making the buying decision based upon the opinions of others. Testimonials, endorsements, any press mentions, any certifications that you can put on your website gives validity that you are not someone that is just putting up a website in order to collect credit card information. You are there to sell a product or service and deliver that value to the consumer in a timely fashion in the way that they want it. And don't forget that when you're building trust and you're using the wonderful world of the internet and you have access to all different kinds of layouts and schemes, don't forget the importance of color. Went ahead and threw this in on this slide for you. Just remember that these are the colors typically when you're trying to deliver a message. This is what you should lead with. Web page designers, they tend to want every page to look the same, to be the same, and deliver the same content. Though that in itself is a valid point. Don't forget your landing pages could be different because you're probably if you're doing your landing page correctly, more than likely, if you're trying to get a call to action and the action is developed, more than likely your consumer is not going to bounce around your web page or your website throughout their buying motion. They'll just come to your landing page, do what is expected of them, and then leave. So use colors that relay your opinion and of course speak to your target audience. So lead nurturing. How do we stay engaged with your visitors? You want to make sure that you're sending out content of interest and moving them through the sales funnel, and we'll look at that in just a moment. Emails, blogs, social media, and newsletters, they were built to lead nurture, and I'm still seeing very few companies, especially small companies, that are nurturing leads. Too many people, especially in the small business, when I'm consulting with them, are trying to use social media as a push marketing scheme. In other words, every time they have a sale, every time they have a new product, they post it on their Facebook page, and they're hoping they get a bunch of likes, and of course they're hoping they get a bunch of likes and comments and people actually come in and buy that product or sale. That is not the best use of social media. Matter of fact, I frown on it anytime it is ever used. What you need to do is use social media to generate conversation. As I've spoken in some of my previous webinars in this Competitive Advantage series, social media is about social interaction. So many of us from the business point of view are forgetting this. When you go to a chamber meeting or when you go to a networking meeting of some kind, though what you sell and where you sell it at may come up in the conversation, it's never what you lead with. You interact with people around the table as you're eating your hors d'oeuvres and sipping on whatever refreshment they might have provided for you, and you're speaking to people as you network around the room about not only their business, but you're speaking about your business, but you're delivering the value. You typically talk about the value that your business is bringing. Remember, that's the purpose of social media. It's very similar to being in a physical network meeting, except you're just online. Okay? The lead nurturing funnel. This is a graphic that is pretty common in the marketing place right now. Basically, you've got to get the buyer to start exploring, and when they explore, did they hit your website? Were you one of the ones that they hit? If you did not, you've got to work with your website provider. You've got to work with a search engine optimization, because you need to make sure that when a buyer in your market is searching for potential places to purchase a product, and yours should be included at the top. If it's not, it's beyond this webinar. We need to talk about, search engine optimization, but you need to work with that. Then if they have collected information from your website, then this is where they start gathering more information. Okay? What are they doing? Are they spending time on your website, and are they collecting all the information that you need? That's very important. I have clients, especially in the restaurant industry, who it's not uncommon for them to put links up to other restaurants in the area, to their menus, and vice versa. Because when people are shopping for a buying decision as to where to go out for dinner in their community or in the town at night, they a lot of times will look at what the posted menus are, and they want to look at other menus too to make the decision. And I have several clients that have decided that they can post a competitor's menu because they believe that their menu is going to be the driving force, and it gives a comparison model. So it's kind of an interesting way of marketing, to actually market your competitor. Something to consider. Then they're going to make a decision stage. Okay, what happened in the decision stage? Were they able to have conversation with you? Did they make any decisions based upon any interaction with you, or did they make it solely based upon your website and all the online feeder information, such as testimonials and reviews? And of course, they become hopefully a customer. And when they become a customer, you've got to work very closely with them, and we're going to go over just a little percentage right here in just a second. You've got to turn them into a champion. If you can turn them into a champion for your product, then this champion starts being a marketer for you. They start, without being paid, without being coerced in any way whatsoever, they start speaking of all of the awesomeness that is you and your company and your product. Customers are always seeking to maximize value. It's almost a mathematical formula that the buyer has just intuitively learned how to formulate at this point. They look at the product, They weigh in all of its what it can do, what it costs, what its longevity is, and how it rates against other products. Of course, they're going to look at the firm. Is the company a company that can be trusted? Will it be around here if I want to buy this product again? And then they do the math. Does it fit its price? Okay, and the value is a percentage. Okay, in their mind, it's not is it the cheapest? It's not is it the best? It is will it do what I want it to do for the best price? And that's what people are looking at. Once the consumer finds the expectation they have of this value, then they will act upon it and make a purchase. If they did not purchase from you, something in the value formulation caused them to believe that your product gave them less value. And it could be something just as simple as you didn't have online ordering. I have to send them an email, and then they email it back, and then we have to talk on the phone to get the product. I see this more and more times with small business, especially very small business, that they're not working with the online ordering and making it as click-free as possible and causing the buyer to do more steps. And of course, they want to make sure that the usage experience meets their expectations. These are basically the formula that I explained to you. These are the determinants of determining customer delivered value. From the emotional aspect of it to the time and place involved based upon the value. What personal value, what product value, and everything else adds up to the total customer value. This is what you can deliver to the customer. This is the total value that you can give to the customer as long as it meets every one of these categories as high as possible. You want to make sure that the satisfaction is developed. And satisfaction is very simple. Were they happy? Did it meet or exceed their expectations? I have a lot of times I'm working with companies that want to oversell their product. They want to say, well, in instances, this product has this benefit. It's like buying a tire. If a tire manufacturer says that this tire is a 50,000 mile tire, the consumer expects to get 60 or 70,000 out of it. So typically, not all tire manufacturers, but many of them, they hate to rate tires by mileage because there's a lot of factors that go into the ability for a tire to get to its expected mileage life expectancy. But they tend to rate those lower, or they try to rate those lower than what we expected under normal driving conditions, so that the buyer, when they go to replace that tire, will replace it with the same make and model, or at least the same make. Okay, so sometimes it's better to undersell some of the expectations for a product and leave that up to the buyer to use their pulling instincts to further that it met or exceeded their expectations. As I said, don't over-exaggerate the product. Dissatisfaction is going to happen, and oh, by the way, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, could get involved. It is illegal to lie about a product or service. So don't set your expectations too low, because then you might market size will be limited. And that's something you can go to your factory of information and learn what the marketing, how best to market your product is. Customers they churn for highly desirable products. You want to be able to define and measure the retention rate. It's very important that you maintain a database of your customers. You want to make sure that your customers are coming back and that they are satisfied. If attrition does result, what caused it? Was it your fault? Or was it simply that you got out-marketed? Is there another competitor out there that's giving the perception of value more than what you can. Then you've got to estimate how much are you losing if a customer defects. What's the lifetime value? Because it's so difficult to get that customer in the first place. You definitely don't want to lose them. This graphic is what we call the customer development process. In the beginning, you have suspects and you have prospects. Those prospects go on to either not purchase from you or not become a customer, or they're just disqualified in some other way, just the product did not meet their means, and then they go on to be customers and clients and advocates and then maybe even partners in your company, which is the ultimate. The purpose of this graphic, from first-time customers to partners, if you're losing customers as you proceed to the right down this graphic, you have a serious problem within your product and company life cycle. You want to make sure that retention is the biggest part of what you're focused on when it comes to customer sales. First-time customers are the easiest to become inactive or ex-customers. They brought the product, it just didn't quite meet their satisfaction, or they found something else, or they just aren't looking at being loyal to anything. Okay, you lost them. You want to try to retain them, and of course, if you can make them into a repeat customer, there's a chance they'll be a third and fourth and fifth, and of course, a several-time client customer, where you consider them to be a regular client, and then on up the progression of the customer scale. So you want to make sure that you want to look at the lifetime of your customers and how long they've been with you and number of sales have been with you. If you're losing ones that have been with you for a while, you have an immediate and urgent problem. If you're losing first-time customers and they're not becoming repeat customers, you also have an immediate and urgent problem. So that you've got to figure out how to get through that mix. Some ways of developing strong customer bonds. Oh, I think there's, okay, here we go. Looks like there's a little delay in there. One thing that we're looking at from a strong customer bond is to building a lifetime or a way of retaining them in your mix from a variety of ways. One is adding a financial benefit. If you can give discounts for frequent buyers, or if you can actually develop a club to where people are members of and they get discounts, this is a great way to financially obligate somebody to be bonded to your company. Of course, you can add in the social benefits. I got a business, very small business. She runs a small independent clothing store, as well as some gifts, but mainly focuses on customized or limited edition handmade clothing for women and some for children. One of her social benefits is that for her members or for her regular customers, she hosts on a quarterly basis a time with the actual designer. The designer comes to their shop and interacts with them. It's a benefit to the designer, kind of speak to the customer, and the customer has the social benefit of actually having a relationship with the designer of the clothes that they have been purchasing. And of course, there's a little wine and cheese served at these things, and just gives a little bit more of a social outing and benefit to the consumer. And then, of course, adding structural ties. This has long been proven as a way to bind customers to you, and that includes long-term contracts, charge less for ongoing purchases, and of course link the product to a long-term service contract of some kind. Going back to the Maytag deal, this is how that Maytag is working with the distributors, such as your Lowe's and Menards and your box companies, as well as your independent appliance dealers. They are saying that we will supply parts for these, as we know the parts are going to break, and if you will continue to sell our product, we will assure you that you will always have parts for these items so that you can maintain a service contract with your consumer. one that I'm sure Mr. Barney Brumfile, with the director of the Small Business Development Center with Illinois Eastern Community College, is being an advocate of his Harley and taking tours all around the North America on that. I'm sure that he's a member of the HOG customer side, client side. HOG and the Harley Owners Group has been around for dozens and dozens of years, and it promotes the benefits right on their website of being a part of their family as a way to interact with other Harley riders in a variety of aspects, not only in your location but throughout the world. Actually, this is something that's very simple to do, and many businesses don't capitalize on this as often as I think they should. Remember the 20-80-30 rule. Used to be the 20-80 rule, which it still is, but I just threw in the 30 here just to give you another thinking process today. 20% of your customers are going to generate 80% of your profits. It's amazing how this number just really never changes. It's just shooting through a keyhole. It's just amazing. So always remember that. What does this translate at? Customer retention is where your money is at. Okay, so generating leads is important, and generating customers, but maintaining them as a customer and client is much more important than just getting to buy for the first time. And I think this is an interesting other. 30%, half of your profit is lost by serving the bottom 30% of your customer base. In other words, that's the whiners, the complainers, the people that are looking for a discount based upon their dissatisfaction, whether it be real or perceived. Implications of the 80-20 rule: increase your share of customers rather than the market share. It's a hard concept to sometimes understand the difference between customers and market share, but you should always remember that it's better to have 20% of the loyal customers as to have 80% of all the customers. Because why? The 80-20-30 rule implies no matter how you impart it. You want to make sure that your current customers are served, and you're more focused on them than acquiring the new customers. If you want to use a general rule of thumb, the 80-20 rule applies also. You spend 80% of your time and effort and resources, both financially and staff-wise, in maintaining the satisfaction of current customers. Use 20% on acquiring new customers. The customer relationship management model is one that, the CRM model is one that is being used. It's kind of outside of this webinar, but I strongly urge you to look into it. It's all the employees, the supply chain partners, the lateral partners, and the customers, how that you can use all of those resources in your marketing medium to turn all those leads into customers. The paradigm is shifting away from customers and moving more towards clients. It's more of a way of saying that you are not a customer. In other words, you're not just walking through my door today, purchasing something, and I may or may not ever see you again. When you use the term client, you are looking at a long-term relationship with that individual, and you have to look at that from a small business point of view. If you can get the loyalty and the buying habits of customers to come to you often and frequently and dare I say it, exclusively, then you have breached the time when they go from customers to a client. The quality you offer is going to be a driving force in how that this all translates. It's very important that you take all the features and characteristics of your product and satisfy everyone with what the implied needs are. If you have any flaws or if you have any concerns about quality of your product, it's absolutely crucial and critical that you get that resolved before people have a chance to review it, and it forever stays in the environment of the internet for the life of the internet. In summary, satisfaction versus quality versus value. It's all based on expectations. If we were to get a little bit more philosophical with it, it's based upon perception. It's how, whatever word that you choose to use and how you want to use it in your mind. But you understand, you need to understand that things can go wrong, and it's important for you to understand how to deal with those when they do. Focus on what you can control. You can control virtually everything that's out there. If someone posts a negative comment about your company or your product or service online, there's hardly any of those sites out there that you can't get right on back by and say, okay, I understand that you felt wrong. Please give me a call or give me a number that I can call you. Or if you have satisfied it and they don't take the negative comment down, please put on there in reply, we have satisfied this, and give information, details about that, how you satisfied that, and leave it at that. Hotels are doing this more and more and more nowadays. People that leave a negative comment at a hotel that they stay at, it's very common for a representative from that hotel to contact that person, resolve it. If they don't take it down, the hotel management merely puts on there, this issue was resolved, everybody was happy, and this is what we did in order to resolve that. So it's a good way. It shows people that the people are just not leaving negative comments hanging out there. Okay? A lot of other things there that you can do to work with customer satisfaction and customer retention. And this is more or less a summary file. Just very quickly as we finish up here, these are some examples of satisfaction guarantees. Use some of this wording where it applies to you. These are just some of the ones that I like out there. You know, you can't beat Walmart. Your complete shopping satisfaction is our #1 priority. If an item you buy from Walmart does not meet your expectations, simply return it. As a small company, you may not be able to be that bold in a statement, but I encourage you to approach it as closely as you possibly can. And lastly, these are all terms. Again, you can go back and look at this video lately if you're not taking notes at this point. These are just some of the customer satisfaction metrics. I ask you to Google a lot of these and get some ideas on what this is. But basically, these are some metrics that you can see. Are you turning and are you nurturing your leads into customers? That said, are there any questions? Okay, this is the final webinar of the Competitive Advantage Series through the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Illinois Eastern Community Colleges. Got a question here. It says, what methods can we use to send out group marketing emails without divulging our contact list? Well, the Federal Trade Commission was very specific on this. One, there has to be buy-in into your email. Okay, so whether you use Constant Contact or MailChimp or some of the other free services that are out there, all of them request that any database that you use, you have to sign a little disclaimer that says that that they have elected to be on this mailing list and you are sending it to them. Of course, then you have to have an opt-out button also. What I recommend that you use one of these type of mail servers, whether it be like an online mail service, and just use Constant Contact because they tend to be the leader in the industry, and it's a name that a lot of people know out there, even though there's several others competing products out there. The reason being is they do not divulge, they do not sell those mail lists to anyone. The second reason is because of how that they have it set up. It gets around some of the spamming rules that that Yahoo and Gmail and some of the others have put out. I will tell you that with what Yahoo is going to release coming the first quarter of 2015, it's going to be very difficult for Constant Contact to get around their spamming rules. So, but to get back to the list and how you're divulging your contact list, if you use one of those content servers, the list should never be divulged to anybody. Never, ever, ever send out an email using just your Outlook or just your email interface and put everybody's name into the to column. Even the BCC, you can do that, but it probably will get caught up in spam filters. Okay, another question. Says, well, in just a second here, I'm having a little trouble seeing my questions here for some reason. Okay, it says, when starting a marketing campaign, what 2 or 3 products should we implement first to give you the best ROI initially? Probably you need to, it's going to depend on what kind of product that you're dealing with, but I would strongly recommend that you look at traditional mediums first, the tried and trues, and make sure that your customer base is in there. Newspaper right now is at an all-time low in actually getting the most bang for buck to the consumer, just because readership of newspapers is so low. Secondly, the radio is pretty high, as well as TV is pretty high in getting retention of customers from that medium, just because the visuality of it. However, it is expensive. If you're wanting to strictly look at value and ROI, you need to make sure that your website is bulletproof and that your search engine optimization has got you in the initial results of any type of lead, and that you are getting links out to all your landing pages in a variety of mediums, and that will be your best return on investment. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Again, my contact, probably isn't in front of you. I think you should see it now. Contact information is in front of you at this point. My contact information is on the right. I thank you for attending today's webinar. If you have any items that you'd like to communicate with me or the Small Business Development Center, please pick up the phone or send us an email at the variety of contacts in front of you. Have a great day, and I hope to see you again at the Small Business Development Center in the future.